Firstly, I would just like to apologise for the grossly distasteful comments I made during the previous Fallout 76 video. To suggest that Bethesda only named it Fallout 76 because they thought they would sell 76% fewer than Fallout 4 was silly and immature. Obviously, they called it Fallout 76 because that's how much they discounted the game within 2 weeks of selling it, because it's so bad. Fallout 76% off. I've got a few other suggestions as why they called it Fallout 76, right? Fallout 76 glitches per minute of gameplay. Fallout 76 is how old our game engine is. Fallout 76 patches before a game is playable.
This could go on forever.
Fallout 76 is the maximum FOV. Fallout 76 videos published per day criticising the game on YouTube.
That's so accurate. That's so accurate.
Fallout 76 people suing you.
It's not even that fucking funny. All joking aside, I think that Bethesda must know by now that they've made a terrible game. How do we know this? Well, you just have to look at the evidence. And that's exactly what this video is. A compendium of all the evidence of why it's a terrible, terrible game.
Exhibit A. You know you've made a terrible game when you have to offer a discount within 10 days on sale.
Originally priced at $60, Fallout 76 was sold as a premium priced AAA game. Unfortunately, it has all the levels of jank and polish you'd expect from an early access indie game. Having presumably not met launch sales expectations, Bethesda went on to heavily discount the game so soon after release. Some outlets, which include the PlayStation and Xbox Live stores, were offering up a chunky 33% discount on the game. Elsewhere, prices were cut to a whopping 50% in some UK and European marketplaces. These offers were part of the Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales, which in of itself is not all that surprising. However, if you consider that these prices were offered within just 10 days of release, it certainly is unusual and highly remarkable. A product is only worth the price that consumers are willing to pay for it. So this is strong evidence for the fact that the game was never worth a AAA price tag in the first place.
Obviously, the decision to discount a game so soon after launch like this has left many day one purchasers angry, so keen to avoid any backlash with Bethesda that they decided to offer a very generous 500 atoms to spend in the in-game microtransaction store to quell consumers who complained that they had paid full price just days earlier. Which, if you think about it, is very bloody generous of them to offer some make-believe, made-up in-game currency just so that players can head over to the microtransaction store and buy back some of the in-game content which was paywalled in the first place. Well, stick a bloody red suit on him and call him Santa. Thank you very much, Todd Howard. Funny how, of all the bugs and glitches reported in Fallout 76, the one thing which does seem to be working perfectly is the microtransaction store. At least that just works, eh, Todd?
All of this just works. Who's laughing now?
Exhibit B. You know you made a terrible game when you refuse to offer refunds.
It's highly reported by now that there are many technical issues with Fallout 76. Some issues that would prevent some players from connecting with friends to play. It is a multiplayer game after all, for its sins. Originally, Bethesda seemed to be processing refund requests from players. However, they apparently and controversially have now reversed that decision.
Redditor ZP Kane was promised a refund from Bethesda when he made the request on the grounds of ongoing performance and connection issues. We'll begin processing the refund as soon as we can, they said, only to be told later on customers who have downloaded the game are not eligible for a refund. Maybe this decision was to prevent savvy customers refunding at full price and then rebuying at the discounted price. Maybe it was because of the sheer number of requests which were made. Who knows? This guy who bought the physical edition from a GameStop store recently wasn't happy that he couldn't get a refund.
Exhibit C. You know you've made a terrible game when the lawyers are circling, trying to form a class action lawsuit against you for deceptive trade practices.
Law firm Miglaccio and Rathod LLP is currently investigating Bethesda Game Studios. The Washington-based firm, who present themselves as experienced in class action litigation against large corporations, thinks that Bethesda may have broken the law by selling the game unplayable because of its technical problems and refusing to issue refunds. They are currently asking for people to reach out to them if they've tried and failed to obtain a refund from Bethesda for Fallout 76. If anyone feels so inclined, there is a link in the description if you want to contact them.
Selling a broken product at market and not offering a refund would get you into trouble in almost every other industry throughout the world. Why should we have to tolerate this horrible behaviour in the gaming industry, which wouldn't stand anywhere else, simply because the product is a digital one? Imagine Bethesda sold broken microwaves, which instead of irradiating just the inside of the appliance, leaked radiation to the outside too. They just wouldn't get away with it. Although that would probably work in their favour, because imagine all the feral ghouls that they could create with all that excess radiation.
Maybe their brains have had enough radiation that you'll actually want to buy and play Fallout 76 with all those microwaves floating around, right?
Nah, probably not.
Nah, still not. You know you've made a terrible game when your Metacritic score is closer to 0 than 100.
You know you've made a terrible game when it sells 82% fewer physical copies than your previous game.
You know you've made a terrible game when the internet is flooded with memes of all the bugs and glitches.
You know you've made a terrible game when a customer trashes a GameStop because he can't get a refund.
You know you've made a terrible game when the Metacritic user score is 2.7.
You know you've made a terrible game when your Vice President of PR and Marketing, Pete Hines, goes on social media blackout for 11 days shortly after launch.
You know you've made a terrible game when 2 of the 3 most upvoted threads in its subreddit history are a list of bugs from the game. At this stage, it must be pretty obvious to Bethesda that they have made a terrible game. Everything we've listed in this video are just the consequences of them making a terrible game. Consequences like people getting angry and trashing physical stores, people wanting refunds, and organising class action lawsuits.
But despite what mainstream gaming media outlets might tell you, this gamer anger is not caused by people making videos on YouTube. The root cause of this anger is simply because Bethesda made a terrible game.
But enough of this YouTube provocation. How else do we know that Bethesda have made a terrible game? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you hit the bell so you can keep updated with all our latest content. If you are enjoying the content, hop on over to Patreon, maybe drop us a buck. We'll catch you soon. Bye for now.
Drop us a buck.
Drop us a buck. It's what it says on their thing, doesn't it?
Drop a buck.
Drop
Isn't that what you do in Red Dead when you drop that buck?
Maybe. It's not even that funny. Oh, man.
Well, my sides are hurting, so I beg to differ.
Okay. Why is it called Fallout 76? Oh boy.